60s this morning, and then a hot and humid afternoon.
Good morning, my friend. Great to have you along this morning. Welcome. We'll get underway here in just a few moments. We're seconds away from starting the show. We've got Donald Trump now agreeing to be interviewed with the FBI, and they're interviewing him as the victim of that shooting attempt, assassination attempt. And we'll get into that in more detail. So thanks so much for being here. Very much appreciated, my friend. Here we go.
The Doctor of Discernment is on the air.
Tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to bed.
The Biden administration has a fatal attraction to nutty ideas.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense, no prescription required.
I love the show.
I don't hate going to work anymore.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time.
I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
This is the Greg.
Good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. It is great to have you along. We've got some thunderstorms locally in the area this morning, so just be mindful. Our EAS system, that series of tones that you hear and the computer-generated warnings, those may be sounding, and I apologize. I'm just going to keep plowing on. So the EAS goes off. I will not be aware of it because I'm not monitoring the external feed of the radio station. I'm actually not listening to the radio, and I'm just going to keep plugging on because I know we've got people who are listening as well. If there's important information that we're going to stop, we're going to mention it. Have no fear. I'm just saying I will not be aware of those alerts as they're going off this morning. So I'm just going to keep plowing on for those who are listening via the Kello app. For those who may be watching on YouTube, we'll just continue. And again, if there's significant information, we'll make sure that we share it. But I just want to give you a heads up. There have been a number of EAS alerts already this morning with some severe thunderstorms moving through the region. So I just wanted to alert you to that. Big story this morning. Donald Trump says he'll meet with FBI agents for a victim interview as part of the investigation into the assassination attempt. And so an FBI official made this public during a briefing yesterday. This is an FBI special agent who heads the Bureau's Pittsburgh field office, and he told reporters the interview would be consistent with any other victim interview. He said, "We provide victims with support from our victim services, and we want to get his perspective on what he observed. So just like any other witness to the crime, as well as get his perspective on what occurred to him during that event, it is a standard victim interview like we would do for any other victim of crime." So these comments came as part of an update that the FBI gave about the progress of their investigation into the shooting. There are a lot of questions surrounding this that continue. Also, the lead SWAT sharpshooter says the group had no communication with Secret Service prior to the attack. It's the lead sharpshooter of the SWAT team that was working with the U.S. Secret Service. Said over the weekend the group had no communication with the agency until after the shooting. And this was in an interview with ABC News. And they're sharing this. ABC's got a pretty comprehensive story. I mean, it's like on this. They blame the assassination attempt on a lack of planning and communication and a number of other things. And you've seen the videos then that even before the shots were fired, that there were officers that were out and It's approaching that building, and folks are saying, what in the world was going on? I think there's a lot to get into with this. I think you have Donald Trump Jr. telling Tucker Carlson in reaction to this, and we'll talk about it in more detail coming up later this morning. The concerns that he's got regarding it. So again, we'll get into that in more detail as the morning goes on. Also, Representative Mike Kelly of Pennsylvania will lead the task force charged. Now we're talking about the congressional task force charged with investigating the assassination attempt on Trump, also exposing the security failures that led up to it. So Speaker Mike Johnson and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries announced the members that'll make up the panel. They did this yesterday. And Representative Mike Kelly of Pennsylvania will lead the team. So they'll look into communication errors between federal and local law enforcement that allowed this guy to climb onto the roof of this building. Also, Facebook now is admitting that they censored it's a photo that became iconic almost instantly. I mean, the one of Donald Trump raising his fist in the air after the assassination attempt, telling people to fight. And so reports then emerged on X yesterday indicating that Facebook had been censoring photos of Donald Trump with his fist raised, his face bloodied after the assassination attempt. And the photos were censored by Facebook. Photos were censored by third-party fact checkers who claimed that the photo had been altered. Facebook now is admitting, yeah, that was a mistake. That should not have been done. The photo was actually snapped by a photographer for the Associated Press. It had been viral on social media before a copy of the photo was edited and then it's circulated. This one showed that Secret Service agents were smiling. Well, that was a doctored photo. So the actual photo was being censored in order to, remove the doctored photo. So all photos of that were censored. And Facebook now is saying that photo was censored and the original was censored too. So they said the warning was incorrectly applied, was meant only to apply to the altered image showing the Secret Service agents smiling. So the fact checkers had determined that all images that resembled the AP original photo should be removed. And now Facebook is apologizing. This was an error. This fact check was initially applied to a doctored photo, right? The one showing the Secret Service agents smiling. And in some cases, our systems incorrectly applied that fact check to the real photo. This has been fixed. We apologize for the mistake. So Facebook's saying they're sorry. Elon Musk is not saying he's sorry for a deep fake video. It's a parody, okay? It's a parody video. Let's call it what it is. Let's call it what it is. It's a parody video, deep fake. Deep fake. So now we've got members of Congress who are saying that we've got to have some regulation of AI when it comes to producing these deep fake videos. And actually, the video was not doctored in any way. The video was a Kamala Harris campaign ad. The voice that you heard obviously was not Kamala Harris. Have you heard this? I have posted a link to the video for those of you who follow me on Facebook. You can watch it there. And this one, Elon Musk, again, you had California Governor Gavin Newsom called out Elon Musk post saying that such videos should be against the law. And you've got Democrats then that are moving to try to do this. And again, the number of stories, Elon Musk shares this is the Associated Press. Elon Musk shares a deep fake video that mimics Kamala Harris. Oh, imagine such a thing. The Daily Beast. They're responding to the leftist Daily Beast. Elon Musk attacks Gavin Newsom in phallic online rant. It was funny. It was absolutely funny. We've got a lot of people in the country with no sense of humor. And I've got to say, I thought it was funny. And so here's Axios with the story this morning. This is one of their most recent stories on Axios this morning. For AI deepfakes, its parody, they put it in quotes, becomes a legal loophole. It is parody. Give me a break. It's an absolute parody. And so now you've got some members of Congress who want to get in and regulate this. What do you think about that? We'll talk about that in more detail this morning. I'd love to get your phone calls. I asked that question this morning on Facebook. You can answer it there. And you folks, those of you who follow me on Facebook, thank you so much. These people are incredibly kind. Not everybody, but most are incredibly kind. And I really, really do appreciate it. So thank you so much. You know, for those who listen to the show and those who follow me on Facebook or on YouTube, same thing. It's means a lot to me. I appreciate it. So you can watch the deepfake video there. We'll see how long that lasts before Facebook takes that down and then offers an apology later. So it's, I'm curious to get your thoughts. We'll open up the phone lines coming up this morning after 7, and we'll talk about that as well. Also, the Paris Olympic Committee making an apology for that Last Supper parody. You and I talked about that yesterday. And a spokesperson had said there was never an intention to show disrespect. And they said, you know, I think with Thomas Jolly, he's the ceremonies artistic director. And they said, I think with Thomas Jolly, we really did try to celebrate community tolerance. Looking at the result of the polls that we shared, we believe that this ambition was achieved. If people have taken any offense, we are, of course, really, really sorry. And so Thomas Jolly, again, he's the artistic director that came up with this. He said, my wish isn't to be subversive, nor to mock or to shock. Most of all, so he says, that was never my intention to shock people. That's how far outside the orbit, you know, of most people that these folks are traveling. Far outside where you and I would stand. Because, again, you know, and I mention this all the time, I'm interested in the folks on Main Street and their reaction. And folks on Main Street are upset and they're angry. And so when he says his wish was not to mock or to shock, you're too outside the mainstream to be able to even draw that, you know, to be able to do that clearly. So again, I'm not going to make a big deal about this morning. We talked about it yesterday. He said, most of all, I wanted to send a message of love, a message of inclusion, and not at all to divide. Unfortunately, that's exactly what you did. That is exactly what you did, however. So what's your intention? How can you miss the mark by that much? I mean, wow. That's just, to me, it's shocking that anybody can be that out of step then with the reality that you miss the mark by that much. So we are to look at the intention. It was the intention. Oh, it's the intention versus the actual final product. So he says does not have any malice. I take that at the word. I take him at his word. Again, what's amazing to me is that people can be that outside of the mainstream. That he could think that. That to me is really jaw-dropping. Also, you've got ESPN's Pat McAfee. He added his voice to those who were condemning this, what was it? I know the Olympics opening ceremony is what it was. So McAfee said something which I really, really appreciated. He said, we just want it to revolve around sport. Amen. Amen. You just want it to revolve around sport. Absolutely right. He's right on that's why people are upset. It's that simple. They're trying to be artsy, and we're trying to. There's a time and place for that. The Olympic opening ceremony is not the place. All right. Also, the president responding to, he wants to make changes to the Supreme Court, these reforms to the U.S. Supreme Court. Washington Examiner says that legal experts are saying that his reforms already on life support. So it's not looking good. In fact, there was a weird exchange between the president and House Speaker Mike Johnson that the president called House Speaker Mike Johnson dead on arrival. So Johnson was responding then to these changes the president wants to make to the U.S. Supreme Court, and he was making, substantive arguments against it. And so, expanding the court and all of this and his concerns about it. And so when a reporter asked the president for his response, he gave a garbled response. And so the reporter kept at it and said, House Speaker Mike Johnson says your Supreme Court reform is dead on arrival. What's your reaction, sir? Who said that? Speaker Johnson said it's dead on arrival. And Biden said, I think that's what he is. And the journalist, can you clarify that? And the president said that he is dead on arrival. And everybody's going, what? I mean, what in the world is he talking about? So that is not very likely to, again, Washington Examiner has got a story with legal experts saying that the president's plan not likely to get very far. And you're hearing that from House Speaker Mike Johnson. Also, former Attorney General Bill Barr offered his concerns about these the president's proposals for the U.S. Supreme Court. And Barr said that they would eliminate the High Court's conservative justices and destroy the independence of the judiciary. And he said Americans need to understand that the campaign to radically change the court is coming. While current proposals like term limits for the longest serving justices and imposed code of ethics threaten the Constitution and the separation of powers, the far left is demanding that the court be packed with additional liberal justices. And I think many of us understand that and realize that's what the, packing the court and getting rid of the conservatives who are currently on the court is what the president seems to be after. And that's a bit of a change for Joe Biden, but he has just moved more and more to the left as he has grown older. And so that's a look at the big stories this morning. Really great to have you along. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. 626. And this hour of our show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Weeknights 5 to 8. Kello News.
All right.
107.9.
See in-store details about how to get rebates. Yeah, now, again, Congress wanting to come in. I mean, when it comes to these deep fake, cheap fake videos, these AI videos, do you trust Congress to save you from those? Seriously, are you watching what's going on in Congress these days? Crazy. Absolutely crazy. All right, coming up, we're going to run down stories that are trending this morning. I want to thank you for being here very much. Do appreciate it. Hit that like button while you've got a moment. I've got a growing number of people. We're up to about 150 people have subscribed to the to the Greg Belfrage Show on YouTube. And that has grown pretty dramatically, at least from our very inauspicious beginnings. So if you've got like-minded friends that you think would enjoy what we're doing, let them know. Very much appreciated.
CEO of Abacus Life for almost 20 years.
Okay, let's see how we're doing here for time.
Policies from seniors just like you.
Coming up, we'll run down stories that are trending this morning.
Policy value calculator, so you can find out the worth of your policy in just seconds. There are no fees and no obligations. Get real value from your life insurance when you need it with Abacus. Learn more at abacuspays.com.
Not all policies will qualify. Not available in all states. Julia owed the IRS thousands.
I was paralyzed with fear.
Then
I heard a commercial for Optima Tax Relief.
Optima Tax Relief is the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and experts in the Fresh Start Initiative.
Optima Tax Relief settled my IRS tax bill.
Call Optima now for a free consultation.
It was amazing.
Call 800-467-2766. 800-467-2766. Optima Tax Relief.
Excuse me.
Scattered strong thunderstorms out there this morning, moving east, and then a hot and humid afternoon with a high temperature at 91 and the wind from the southeast at 10 to 15. A few scattered thunderstorms tonight, mainly those south of Sioux Falls, low at 70. And then tomorrow, we'll have another round of scattered storms in the late afternoon and evening, high 91. From the Storm Center,
And in Sioux Falls at 629, we've got some scattered thunderstorms, light rain, 68 currently at Kello. Joe Bowman is in the Kello.com News Center. Coming up, Joe says over the weekend, some hikers were robbed at gunpoint by a member of their own group. Also, Attorney General Marty Jackley and his colleagues won a couple of legal challenges to Washington overreach. And a Sioux Falls man has pled guilty to child pornography charges. Well, Joe will have details on those stories and more coming up for you here in just a few moments. Hey, let's give you a chance to win 2 evening passes to Wildwater West Water Park. I'll take caller number 7 right now at 605-336-1320. Call us right now. Caller number 7 at 605-336-1320. Caller 7 wins 2 evening passes to Wildwater West Water Park. 1 ticket, unlimited slides and rides. 5 miles west of the Empire Mall. Call now, 605-336-1320. 1320. All right, coming up, we'll run down stories that are trending for you this morning in Belf's News Gallery. That's on the way. You're listening to the Greg Belfrage Show on Kello.
She's not officially the Democrats' nominee yet, but former President Trump says he will probably end up debating Vice President Kamala Harris. He had agreed to debate President Biden September 10th.
If you're going to have a debate, you got to do it, I think, before the votes are cast. I think it's very important that you do that. So the answer is yes, but I can also make a case for not doing it.
The former president of Fox's Laura Ingraham. Absentee ballots start going out in North Carolina September 6th. Thousands protest in Venezuela over presidential election results.
Some walked miles to the capital from mountain slums. In Caracas, they were met with tear gas and rubber bullets. The protesters say Nicolas Maduro's re-election as president was fraudulent. They claim to be gathering evidence proving the opposition candidate, Edmundo Gonzalez, as the true winner.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. America's listening to Fox News.
Kello News Time, 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. Over the weekend, some hikers were robbed at gunpoint by a member of their own group. Police say the group was hiking in Great Bear and had stopped for a while to rest. After some conversation, one of the people in the group pulled out a gun, took some jewelry and a backpack, and left. Police arrested 21-year-old Diego Lopez the following day. He faces aggravated assault charges along with robbery and grand theft. Attorney General Marty Jackley and his colleagues won a couple of legal challenges to Washington overreach this past week. In one of these cases, the U.S. Education Department threatened to withhold funding unless states allowed men into women's and girls' restrooms and locker rooms based on gender identity in a Title IX case. Jackley says Congress needs to go to work on cases like this.
I think the frustration of Washington is resonating not just with the attorney generals, but with the public, that it's time for a change. And it's time for Washington to stop giving political speeches and show up and go to work.
The 8th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals blocked the rule from taking effect this week, but only in the states that filed the lawsuit. The Sioux Falls man has pled guilty to child pornography charges. 24-year-old Dylan Ryan was arrested back in March during an online sexting operation. Ryan asked who he thought was a 13-year-old girl to send him illicit pictures. Instead, the person he was texting with was an undercover agent. He was arrested in Sioux Falls Park, where the meeting with the girl was supposed to take place. A total of 11 Sioux Falls men were arrested in the sting. In women's volleyball, Sioux Falls native Taryn Cloth and teammate Kristen Nuss are now 2-0 at the Paris Olympics. The pair defeated Australia yesterday in straight sets. Both and Nuss are set to match up against China on Thursday.
Excuse me.
And the Sioux Falls Canaries take on the Redhawks tonight in Fargo. The two ball clubs are in a virtual tie for first place in the American Association's West Division. The Canaries have dropped 2 straight, while the Redhawks enter on a 2-game win streak. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello, News Talk 1320, 107.9.
Local thunderstorms moving east this morning, and then a hot and humid afternoon. Our high temperature at 91, southeast winds at 10 to 15. More scattered thunderstorm activity possible tonight, mainly south of Sioux Falls, low near 70. Tomorrow, more storms, some could become severe later in the day, high 91. From the Storm Center at Kettleland TV, I'm meteorologist Brian Karstens.
Unleashing the sharks in your think tank.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
Kello, News Talk 1320, 107.9 and Kello.com.
If you search Google for the phrase failed presidential assassination attempts, you'll find John F. Kennedy, Abraham Lincoln, Gerald Ford, Ronald Reagan, and Teddy Roosevelt. Widen the search and leave out the word presidential, and you'll find Archduke Ferdinand of Austria, whose death sparked World War I. But guess whose name you won't find? I'm Kim Commando for T-Mobile. Their advanced network now goes farther than ever before. Visit T-Mobile.com/55 today. Even if you use the precise keywords Trump assassination attempt, Google's autocomplete feature gives 0 results. Google claims it's done nothing to interfere with searches on the Trump assassination attempt. Instead, Google says its autocomplete feature is set to, quote, filter out political violence. Let's review. Lincoln, Roosevelt, Kennedy, Ford, Reagan, and the Archduke. Which one was not political violence? Here's a new phrase. Disinformation by omission. Hey, if you're not tech ahead, you're going to be left behind in the dust. Get my free newsletter at getkim.com. Hey friends, Kim here. You know, it seems the older you get, the savvier you become at saving money. I really hate to overspend on things, especially the necessities. But thanks to T-Mobile, I don't have to worry about overpaying for wireless service.
Okay.
So I've got more time and money to spend on other things. At T-Mobile, customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for just $30 a month per line. That's a 45% savings versus Verizon and AT&T. Plus, Scam Shield Premium is included, which means fewer scam calls and more tools to help you optimize and organize your mobile life. Experience all this and more with T-Mobile, America's largest 5G network. Don't miss out. Get 2 lines of talk, text, and data.
I love having these apps on my phone with
Visit T-Mobile.com.
weather warnings,
To make the switch
and I hate it at the same time. I have a love-hate relationship with some of those apps, and I'm not a big one for notifications. Most of the apps that I have, news apps especially, you can get notifications. They all want to send you notifications, and I just detest the interruptions. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'll get to it when I get to it. Weather, however, is a little bit different. I think that's it. Yes, I welcome the interruption, but very rarely when it comes to news is it, short of something really major like, an assassination attempt,
Hey guys, do you want male performance in the bedroom and do you want it now?
All right. We'll get underway here in just a moment. And there are a few Donald Trump stories trending. Pretty incredible. The number of Donald Trump stories that trend are just phenomenal. But there's only a few this morning. So it's really kind of a different kind of morning, variety of different stories that are out there. So I'll share those with you coming up here in a moment so we get underway again. So thanks for being here.
In an instant.
You want to know what's happening in a hurry.
Get the latest breaking news on your smartphone.
With the free Kello AM app.
And I'm trying to kill commercials because those folks are paying to be on the air. They're not necessarily paying to be on my stream. .38. Scattered light rain, thunderstorms, 68 currently at Kello. Hey, congratulations to Dana Fiedler of Sioux Falls. Dana won those 2 evening passes to Wildwater West Water Park. Dana, thanks a million for listening and have a great time with the gang. And we will have another chance for you to win passes from Wildwater West Water Park coming up tomorrow. So keep listening for your chance to win.
Now.
Add them on Facebook.
Let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that. News and views from Belf's News Gallery.
Well, Donald Trump has agreed to sit with the FBI for a victim interview. And this is the FBI's then continuing investigation into the assassination attempt against Trump. So Donald Trump has agreed. Still no motive of the shooter that's been uncovered at this point. The FBI told NBC that they have conducted hundreds of interviews, requested information about his online accounts, including gaming accounts from dozens of companies. His search history included seeking information about the attempted assassination of the Slovakian prime minister earlier this year, as well as mass shootings and power plants. And he also took steps to cover up his search history. So Donald Trump will be sitting down, no word on when, but he will be sitting down with the FBI And the FBI special agent in charge said the interview would be consistent with any other victim interview. We provide victims with support from our victim services, and we want to get his perspective on what he observed. Also, Pennsylvania SWAT team is saying that they had no contact with the Secret Service before the shooting at Donald Trump's rally. There are both local and national stories about this. Members of the Beaver County ESU who were on site that day sat down for an interview with ABC News, and they said there was supposed to be an on-site meeting between them and the Secret Service, but that meeting never happened. And again, ABC News has a lengthy story on this morning. You can find it at abcnews.com. And they said we were supposed to get a face-to-face briefing with the Secret Service members whenever they arrived, and that never happened. That's according to Jason Woods, who is the team leader for Beaver County Emergency Services Unit. So when I mention ESU, that's the Emergency Services Unit and their SWAT sniper section. So I think that was probably a pivotal point when I started thinking things were wrong, because that never happened. He said we had no communication, not until after the shooting, and by then he said it was too late, obviously. So no communication with Secret Service prior to the shooting, and then only after the shooting. And again, as officers I think have pointed out, it's by that point it was too late. It was over. Also, the president has outlined his proposal for Supreme Court reform, including term limits for justices. And the legacy media is making a really big deal about this. Legacy media is really, because he did it yesterday, and he had he wrote an op-ed, the president did, in the Washington Post. That was yesterday. And still this morning, many legacy media outlets, this is still the top story. Yeah, and whether or not should it be, also Mike Kelly, who is a Republican congressman from Butler, Pennsylvania, has been tapped to lead the House Trump assassination attempt task force. You know, the House, the House of Representatives has come together, both Democrats and Republicans together, with this task force to look into the Donald Trump assassination attempt. And it'll be a congressman from Pennsylvania. Again, Mike Kelly has been chosen to lead. And the committee is both Democrats and Republicans will be looking into this. Also, Venezuelans are taking to the streets of Caracas to protest the victory of Maduro. He was declared the winner of Venezuela's presidential election, and protests then erupted in Venezuela and throughout the country. That's been a big story the last several days. Also, story trending about Google and their autofill feature omitting search results for the Trump assassination attempt. So this is pretty amazing to me what big media has been doing, big tech, what they've been doing in regard to search results and so on. So Google's autofill feature, if you were to, and I talked about this on the program yesterday, assassination attempt on, and you were to start Donald Trump's name T, right? So if you, assassination attempt on, or assassination attempt on T, it would come up with Truman. it would autofill with Truman. And Google, then, it's raising a lot of questions. Is Google blocking, attempted searches then regarding that? You've got that coming on the heels of Meta having to apologize because Meta would not allow photos of the really iconic photo of Donald Trump after the shooting, where he's getting up off the ground, surrounded by Secret Service agents, blood on his face and his ear, fist in the air. That photo was not being allowed on Facebook. And they since have apologized. They were trying to, they say, well, there were doctored photos that were out there showing the Secret Service agent smiling. And in an effort to, we removed those, but as a result, then we also would not allow the actual photo. So it's like, were you actually even close then to what happens when you start engaging then? And we can't allow that to be out there. You can't have that out there. Also, Iowa is enforcing a ban on most abortions after about 6 weeks of pregnancy. That story has been trending here for the last several days. So Iowa now becoming the banning abortions after about 6 weeks. And Breitbart had a story saying Minnesota is preparing for an influx of patients from Iowa as Iowa's abortion ban takes effect. Other stories trending this morning. Fred Goldman, who is the father of Ron Goldman, has filed a $117 million claim against the estate of the late O.J. Simpson. Ron Goldman was his son, who was killed along with Nicole Brown Simpson. Simpson was acquitted, but Fred Goldman won a civil lawsuit against Simpson in Los Angeles in 1997. That lawsuit ordered Simpson to pay $33 million to Goldman. And that's where what happened, it gets kind of sticky. So laws protecting Simpson's pension from his time in the NFL meant that the award was never paid. So now Goldman is demanding over $117 million from the estate of O.J. Simpson. Also, French authorities have arrested an activist from an ultra-left-wing movement at a site belonging to a national rail operator. And the reason I share that is because there were attacks that paralyzed the network at the start of the Olympic Games. According to police, French authorities. So this man was detained in northern France on Sunday, and he had access keys to rail SNCF. Again, that's a rail operator. He had access keys, tools, literature that linked him. Also, the FDA has approved a blood test intended to detect colorectal cancer. They did this yesterday and said that this will expand options then for screening for colon cancer. It's a blood test called SHIELD. So that's now been approved for screening adults age 45 and older who are at average risk of colon cancer. Also trending, this is from the UK. 2 little girls are dead, at least 9 people injured in a mass stabbing at a Taylor Swift dance party in the UK. So 2 little girls dead, and a number of others injured, and a 17-year-old arrested. And so residents are talking about this, and they're, of course, absolutely shocked, as you can only imagine if something like that happens in your community. Mark Meadows is asking the U.S. Supreme Court to toss his charges from the Georgia election interference case. So his attorneys in a petition said, just as immunity protection for former officers is critical to ensuring that current and future officers are not deterred from enthusiastic service, so too is the promise of a federal forum in which to litigate that defense. So he is asking the Supreme Court to transfer the Georgia election case then to federal court. He wants his case in federal court, not in state court. A Hezbollah rocket strike killed at least 12 kids and teenagers. And there is growing situation that we see between Israel and Hamas. And the headlines are all saying, it's pushing these two sides are coming closer to war. And Reuters had a story. Israeli officials say they're trying to avoid all-out war. And Israel retaliating in Lebanon after the strike on the Golan Heights soccer fields killed at least 12 people. So again, the close to a ceasefire, we're told by the Biden administration, surely not looking that way. Meanwhile, Israel says they want to hurt Hezbollah, but not drag the Middle East into an all-out war. This is according to Israeli officials. They said this yesterday. And 2 other, and this is, you have Lebanon then bracing for retaliation after a rocket strike kills 12 children, teenagers. So 2 other Israeli officials said Israel was preparing for the possibility of a few days of fighting following the Saturday rocket attack. Benjamin Netanyahu said, our response will be harsh, he said. But then you've got these officials in the Israeli government saying, we're not seeking all-out war. So the president then of Iran is warning Israel against attacking Lebanon. And the U.S. is launching a diplomatic effort then to try to constrain the response from Israel. Again, then after 12 kids were killed. Really want to be the ones trying to restrain Israel and making it more difficult for Israel to be able to react to these? Also, Vladimir Putin is warning the United States of a Cold War-style crisis if missiles are deployed to Germany. And he's warning of a reciprocal response to U.S. missiles in Germany. And he said the West is clinging to a Cold War mentality, he said. Also trending this morning, a Northern California park fire, now among the largest in state history. It's approximately, this fire, the size of Los Angeles. So it has grown to over 300,000 acres, has now become the 8th largest fire on record. And it's that, of course, is leading to evacuations. And It's also resulting then in comparisons to a fire in 2018 that killed 85 people. So it's now one of the largest on, and you've got the man accused of starting this park fire who has appeared in court. 42-year-old made his first court appearance yesterday, being charged with reckless arson, along with several other enhancements. And that's a look at the stories trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. Thanks so much for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. It's very much appreciated, my friend. Again, we've got cloudy skies, scattered thunderstorms, light rain, and 68. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Call us what you want, as long as you call us. Speak your mind on Callow. NewsTalk 1320, 107.9. Okay, quick. Name the four seasons.
Wait, I thought we only had three.
Well, thank you so much, my friend, for letting me join you this morning, starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. It's always appreciated. Please hit that like button. And if you got like-minded friends, let them know what we're doing. I really appreciate it. Hope to see you here again tomorrow. Take care. Have a great Tuesday. So long until tomorrow, and may God bless.